Indiana beats down Oregon, and we're going to break it down. I'm going to give you guys my instant reaction now. How I like to do my instant reactions. If you are the victor, you get the spoil. So I'll talk about you first, and then we'll talk about the losers, the Oregon Ducks. And I got a lot to say about the Oregon Ducks, but let's start off by giving a round of applause to the Indiana Hoosiers because they are who everybody's saying they are. After they defeated Alabama, after they defeated Ohio State, people started to say, Indiana is the real deal. And then when they obliterated Alabama, people started to say, we don't think anybody can beat them in the playoffs. So you get the Oregon Ducks, who this was a rematch. They did play close in the regular season, and it wasn't a game from the first play. You get a Pons pick six to the house. And first of all, I'm sorry. I forgot about how crazy the crowd was. It was like an Indiana home game. It just seemed like Indiana was ready to play this game. And when you watch this Indiana Hoosiers team, they remind me of a team that played basketball when I was in high school. It was called Greene County Tech. In Greene County Tech, they were known for always executing the plays properly, always like doing everything to the exact. There was no hero ball. There was no trying to do anything fancy. It was execution, execution, execution. And then once they got a couple really good players, you really saw how good they could be with good players and really good execution. And that's kind of how I look at this Indiana team. They're not going to beat themselves. If you give them an opportunity, they're going to take it. Let me look real quick. Did they have any turnovers? No fumbles lost, no interceptions thrown. Mendoza did fumble once, but it bounced into an Indiana player's hand. They just dominated from start to finish. And when the Oregon Ducks, who they took the first punch, and they came back and went down the field and scored, right? Indiana said, okay, you can do that. Bam, 3-play drive, 4-play drive, 5-play drive, 14 points in the first quarter, 21 points in the second quarter, 7 points in the third, and 14 gives you a 56-piece McChicken on your head top. I also thought Indiana did a great job after that drive that Oregon had to kind of come back. Their defense shut them out in the second quarter. They started to get lined up. They started to execute their blitz packages. They started to make the tackles. And basically, Oregon had a couple mistakes. The throw, fumble, and the block punt, and the interception, and it was all Indiana. So Indiana will go on to take on Miami. They will be a 5.5-point favorites. When you listen to the experts talk about this game, Miami doesn't have a chance. Greg, is it McElroy? Is it Greg, the former Alabama quarterback and the gentleman calling the game? They asked him about a quick preview. He said Miami better be ready because this is an Indiana team that is firing on all cylinders. I think that was his nice way of saying Miami doesn't have that much of a chance. Fernando Mendoza gets to go home and play for a team that he grew up right down the street from. Is going to be interesting to see. The Oregon Ducks, where do you go from here? I think that's a question that we're going to have to discuss here because 13-2, are you upset with 13-2? It depends on your standard. It depends on your expectations. And I think if Indiana would have just won this game, the backlash that Dan Lanning will receive wouldn't be as bad. But the simple fact that it was a blowout, 56-22, blowout. And then last year you finished the season 41-21. A blowout. Hmm. 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 In 2022, was that the year they lost? They lost 3 games, ended up winning in the North Carolina in the Holiday Bowl. All eyes are on Dan Lanning, and they're asking a question. When we get to this point, why do we get blown out? And what is going to bring more pressure on Dan Lanning is this. When Dan Lanning took over this job, Mario Cristobal handed him a well-oiled machine. Now, this machine was, although it was well-oiled, it did need some tweaks. It did need some little get up and go. And Dan Lanning brought that get up and go to get them to winning the Big Ten championship, getting them to beating Ohio State, getting them to doing things like that. But when you get to the playoffs, you get blown out. You don't just lose, you get blown out. And you look over, who is Indiana playing in the championship? Miami. Who is their coach? Mario Cristobal. So you got a well-oiled machine that needed some tweaks while Mario Cristobal took over Miami, a program which was dormant for about 20 years, had to rebuild it, and they're in the national championship game. And not only are you not there, when you had a chance to get there, you got blown out twice. I believe that's going to be the conversation. Now, that is the overarching conversation that I believe will be had. But you also can look at this, when you look at this game, Oregon, they had the turnovers, the pick six, the fumble. You're dealing with injuries with your running back. It's just going to be a tough pill to swallow. At the end of the year, there's only one team truly happy. But when you get blown out, you want when you look at this Indiana team and they throw up that there are no 5 stars, that they don't have the elite of the elite players, and Oregon has all the elite players, all the NIL, and you're getting blown out. When do you look at coaching will be the question. So Oregon, they're going to have some questions to answer. There are going to be some people upset. I think if you're a person who like to think positive, you can say coming into this season, this was a young Oregon team replacing the running backs, replacing the quarterback, replacing the cornerbacks, and you ended up winning 2 playoff games. Right? That's a positive way to look at it. We'll see what the majority will be. Oregon will head into the offseason where they're going to have some questions, replacing their coordinators and things like that. Indiana goes on to the national championship. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.